What's up, Bucs fans? This is Matt Matera from PewterReport.com, and I've had something on my mind with this Bucs team that I've been thinking about ever since the Super Bowl ended with the Eagles defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. Because as entertaining as Super Bowl week and the game is every single time, and I know this wasn't the best game because it was a blowout, but one of the things people really look forward to looking at right after is the Super Bowl odds for every team going into next season. Because unless you were an Eagles or a Chiefs fan watching it, your team, especially the Bucs, if you're watching this, already moved on to next season. And if you're a gambling fan like myself, you want to see, maybe I can take advantage of some good odds, some bad odds, and things like that for going into next year. So, of course, I want to see, where are the Bucs at? Are people taking them seriously? Are people taking them lightly? And once again, we are early into the 2025 season. Free agency hasn't happened yet. The draft hasn't happened yet. And already the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still getting disrespected. When are people going to learn that the Bucs are at their best when others are doubting them? So what happened is the Super Bowl odds came out, and the Bucs are listed at plus 4,000 to win next year's Super Bowl. I guess technically this year, but the game gets played in in 2026. So the Bucs are a plus 4,000 favorite to win the Super Bowl. If you're not a gambling fan, that means if you bet $100 at plus 4,000 and the Bucs win, you would win $4,100. So in another sense, you'd win a profit of $4,000. So pretty good odds. And that's on BetMGM. They're at plus 3,500 if you go on ESPN Bet. So if you want the best odds, check out the former of that. And while those odds are okay, the part that is crazy to me is the Bucs aren't even close to the best odds. Now, obviously, you expect the Eagles to have the best odds, the Chiefs to be up there as well. But there are 14 other teams that have better odds than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 14 other teams have better odds than your favorite team that plays football in Tampa. The Eagles have the best odds of plus 650. That's not a surprise. Then it's the Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, Lions, 49ers, Washington, Green Bay, Cincinnati, the Chargers, the Rams, the Houston Texans, the Minnesota Vikings, the Denver Broncos, and tied with the Bucs at plus 4,000 is the Chicago Bears. How on earth are the Chicago Bears, and I get it, like potential, Caleb Williams and all that stuff, but how on earth are the Chicago Bears in the same category as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? It doesn't make sense to me. The Bucs have made the postseason 5 years in a row. They've won 4 straight division titles. In the 1 year they made the postseason where they didn't win the division, they won the Super Bowl. They have the longest active streak in the NFC of reaching the postseason. The Bears won, 5 games last season? And they're in the same category as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just don't totally understand it from that aspect of the Bucs are in such a bad spot that they're in the same category with the Bears. Are people just that in love with the progression of Chicago? I don't necessarily understand it. And if you want to argue, the Bears are on the up and up and everything like that, well, what about a team like the 49ers at plus 1,300? They're about to lose Deebo Samuel. They got to pay Brock Purdy a lot of money. In my opinion, the Bucs should be right around the same spot. There are a bunch of teams that have plus 2,000. It's the Commanders, the Packers, and the Bengals at plus 2,000. The Chargers and the Rams are at plus 2,200. I think that's a good spot for Tampa Bay. I mean, if you want to get on the Bucs case about the defense, and Lord knows they had issues last year, Todd Bowles is a bit to blame. Well, then how do you explain that how do you explain that the Cincinnati Bengals are that much better than the Bucs. Yeah, I get it. They have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but they may lose T. Higgins. We'll see what happens with the franchise tag. But the Bengals defense is even worse than what Tampa Bay trotted out there last season. So why do the Bengals, who may lose this man, Trey Hendrickson, and people are hoping that he ends up going to the Buccaneers, why are the Bengals getting the benefit of the doubt that they will improve on defense when the Bucs, who have a defensive head coach, and historically, since Todd Bowles got there in 2019 as a defensive coordinator, have done a pretty damn good job? Why don't the Bucs get the benefit of the doubt of improving their defense when the Bengals do? That I just don't understand. If you want to put some of the other teams in front of them, I get it. Commanders went to the NFC Championship game. The Ravens and the Bills have two of the best quarterbacks in the league. But out of all the teams that made the playoffs last year, the Bucs have the second to worst odds. The only other team that made the postseason last year that's looking worse is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we all know that they have a quarterback problem. So to me, it is just absolutely asinine. So if you want to keep the Bucs at plus 4,000, that's fine. But put them in the same category as some of the other better teams out there. This is a team that has been consistent year in and year out. Baker Mayfield coming off of the best year of his career. Why are there 14 other teams with better odds than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? There should be no more than 7 or 8 teams with better odds than the Bucs. I'm not saying they should be top 3, even top 5, but give the Bucs a little bit of respect when it comes to what they can do as a team. If you want to give other teams the benefit of improving in the offseason, the Bucs deserve that as well on the defensive side of the football. But that wasn't the only way that the Bucs were disrespected so far in 2025. Super Bowl odds is one thing. ESPN also recently came out with an article. It was almost like a roundtable with experts, and they answered a bunch of different questions. Who's going to win the Super Bowl next season? Who's going to be MVP? And one of those questions as well was, what teams are going to take a step back next season? And somehow, some way, 2 ESPN writers and reporters, Kalen Collar and Eric Moody, picked the Bucs to be the team that takes a step back next season. Here is what Kaler had to say. They picked the Buccaneers. Carolina could be building something with Bryce Young, and Michael Penix Jr. is ready to boost the Falcons, so competition in the NFC South will take a step up this season. Will Baker Mayfield have the same success with Josh Grizzard as his third offensive coordinator in Tampa? Moody went on to say the NFC South won't be as easy for the Buccaneers in 2025 like it was in 2024. Mayfield will have another new offensive coordinator, and hitting on 3 straight OC hires is rare. It's understandable and it's reasonable to question how good the Bucs can be in the 2025 season, especially since Josh Grizzard will be a first-time play caller. However, the Bucs have been in this situation before. Josh Grizzard, yes, is a first-time play caller, but the Bucs had this with Dave Canales 2 seasons ago. If you're arguing in favor of the Buccaneers, one thing that helps with Josh Grizzard is that he was in the organization last season working under Liam Cohen. He was the passing game coordinator. He was very important with the success the Bucs had on third down. They were the best team in the league in converting on third down. Josh Grizzard deserves a lot of credit about that. So yes, he hasn't called plays at the NFL level before, but the continuity will be there because he was here last season. And they're not just going to focus on strictly throwing the football, especially when you have a great player like Bucky Irving on this team at running back. He knows how great Bucky Irving is. He knows how important Rachaad White is as well, both as a runner and specifically in the passing game too. There's a case to be made that in the last 4 seasons where the Bucs have had 4 different offensive coordinators, it was Byron Leftwich, it was Dave Canales, it was Liam Cohen, and now it'll be Josh Grizzard this season, From a talent standpoint, the Bucs offense has never been a better position in over the last 4 years. You have Bucky Irving, who was a sensation, an offensive line that is top 5 in the league, and all of them, with the exception of Ben Bredesen, are under contract at the moment. Tristan Wirfs got that extension. An extension is coming around the corner for Luke Gedeke. Graham Barton was solid as a rookie. Cody Mauch took a big step forward in his second year at starting right guard. So if you want to question Josh Broussard and how he'll do as a play caller, I understand that. I get it. But let's also remember he's got way more talent to work with than really that the Bucs have had in the last 4 years. Baker Mayfield, again, coming off the best year of his career. Mike Evans, double-digit touchdowns, would have had even more than 1,000 yards had he not missed 3 games. The only question on offense is, will they re-sign Chris Godwin? We know they want to re-sign Chris Godwin. He's one of the best receivers in the league. But what other teams will throw a ton of money at him and try to take him away from Tampa Bay? I don't know if Jason Light's going to let that happen. He certainly is going to do his damnedest to keep him there. And I think Chris Godwin will be back with the Bucs next season. He sees how he can operate in this offense. The Bucs have been in the situation before, and Godwin has been in the situation before, heading into free agency, coming off a serious injury. He loves Tampa Bay. He's had a ton of success here, won a Super Bowl, been a top 3 receiver in the league, really, and he still has the capability to do so. If you want to question Todd Bowles and some of his inefficiencies, that's also fair. But then the whole argument about, and time management is a bit of an issue. He needs to work that out. Defense needs to improve, but I think they will through free agency in the draft as well. But the whole notion of the NFC South being that much more difficult, I don't think that's a guarantee by any means. I mean, the Saints, congrats, they got Kellen Moore. It seems like they're going to drop and really take a step back. The Panthers, they have a lot of fight in them. Shout out to Dave Canales. He motivates everybody around him. Didn't matter if he was in Seattle, his 1 year with the Bucs, or in Carolina. Players will play hard for him. He just has that effect and impact on people. But Carolina doesn't have the talent that the Bucs do, and I don't know if they'll be able to replenish all of that talent in just one free agency period and another draft. Seems like they're at least another season away. Now, the big question, of course, is the Falcons. We all know what happened last year. Huge contract to Kirk Cousins. Didn't work out. Looking older. Came off of that Achilles injury. They have to pay him a ton of money. Is he going to be the most expensive backup in the league? We'll see. But it's all about Michael Penix Jr. now. I'm not saying Michael Penix Jr. is going to be Jaden Daniels. I'm not saying Michael Penix Jr. is going to be, Will Levis or how Caleb Williams looked this year. The whole thing is to just automatically say that Michael Penix Jr. is going to turn around the Falcons franchise after starting 3 games at the end of the year last season. What he went 1-2, helped the Bucs win the division. If he doesn't have even a good season, what type of spot are the Falcons in? Now, he could progress and get better the following season. But if there's a lot of growing pains with Michael Penix Jr., the Falcons are not going to be on the same pace as the Buccaneers. Like, what would you rather have? A first-time play caller or a first-time quarterback that you're trying to mold into the NFL? I'd rather have the first-time play caller with all of the talent around them. The Falcons have great talent as well. That's why a lot of people picked them last year. But if Michael Penix Jr. doesn't live up to the hype, the Falcons are going to have to hope that the following season Michael Penix really figures it out. And sure, you get a lot of leeway, a lot of slack with the quarterback. You're not just going to give up on them after one season. I kind of count this as the first season for Michael Penix Jr. His first season as a full-time starter. There's no doubt about that. So we'll see. The Bucs continue to get disrespected, whether it's the Super Bowl odds, whether it's them taking a step back and people believing that they will. There's still pressure on Todd Bowles. Will he be able to figure it out? Can the team improve again? They won 10 games last season. Can they get to 11 this time around? We'll see what they do in free agency. We'll see what happens in the draft. But damn, it's 2025, 2 months in, and the Bucs are already disrespected. Something that they're kind of used to at this point. I don't know how many times they have to convince people that it won't be the case, but it's familiar territory for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm Matera from PewterReport.com. Make sure you follow me on my social media at Matty4_Matera, and follow Pewter Report as well on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We're at Pewter Report, and our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. I'm Matera. This is Pewter Report TV. Peace out.